Good afternoon, St. Louis. I'm coming to you from a very loud Chaifetz Arena because it's a doubleheader here in Midtown. The St. Louis women's basketball team coming up here for a game against Evansville. And here I am courtside as the Billikens go off against Central Michigan. They absolutely tattooed the Chippewas today, and they walk away with a 107-62 victory, a 45-point win for the Billikens. It was a fascinating one from the word jump in this one. The Billikens took over early, and they never looked back. Again, a 45-point win. And again, the Billikens feeling good. They came off that road trip 2-1, but of course, everyone wants to talk about the one loss that happened to Stanford. It was an ugly one. I've gone back and rewatched it. There was no reason for the Billikens to lose that game, and so now every game that we talk about this season, we're going to have to bring up that game and talk about what they did to work back against that loss. And today, I should say, they did absolutely everything you could possibly want from them. An ecstatic, emphatic win from the Billikens. The offense, one of the most incredible, efficient performances we've ever seen in Chaifetz by the numbers. We'll get into that a little bit more. But let's get into some of the big moments of this game. And in fact, let's always get into our biggest moment of the game with our friends at Home Bank. Because again, this Billikens Central postgame is brought to you by our business banking partners at Home Bank. From business lending to everyday banking, Home Bank has been with us since day one as a trusted partner. Business isn't just about numbers, it's about relationships. And with Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. Home Bank is the team behind our team here at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or give them a call right there. You see it on the screen, 855-577-2001. That's Home Bank, member FDIC, more than a bank. They're your business partner, and they bring us our money moment of the game brought to you by Home Bank. When did things really take off in this basketball game? Well, it's when Kellen Thames decided to take off. The Billikens were already rolling this game 29-8. They were feeling good, 9:36 into the first half, but then it was Kellen Thames taking off for one of the most incredible alley-oop dunks that I've ever seen in person. I think anyone watching this game has ever seen in a Billikens jersey. Kellen Thames takes off from a step inside the free throw line. The ball's already in the air from Amari McCautry when he actually took off, and then it was one of the most emphatic dunks from Kellen Thames. And that was just one piece of one of the more incredible first halves we've ever seen from a Billiken player. Yeah, it wasn't the highest scoring first half you've ever seen, but it was one of the most emphatic and compelling first halves I've ever seen from a player in Kellen Thames. He had an incredible game as well. He went 6 for 6 from the floor. He also threw in a block, a couple of steals, some assists, and some rebounds as well, because that's just what Kellen Thames is always going to do. But it really had to be that sequence in the middle of the first half. It was a finish under the hoop. He then steals a ball, finishes again. He's then in the ear of the Central Michigan player talking all kinds of shit. And that's before he even has this alley-oop dunk. And that's before even the second alley-oop dunk. Amari McCautry and Kellen Thames connecting. I think it might have been early in the second half for their second alley-oop dunk of the game. It was just an incredible performance. Kellen Thames comes off the bench, gets 9 points in that first half, goes 3 for 3 from the field, 3 for 5 from the charity stripe as well, and he adds in that block and steal as well. If you guys haven't seen it as well, just go on Twitter and just put in Thames into the search bar. I guarantee you it's going to be one of the first few things we find. That's our money moment of the game. Heck, it might be our money moment of the year when it comes down to it for the Billikens, because what Kellen Thames was able to do off the bench was absolutely incredible. And really what he was able to do off the bench highlights the fact that the Billikens didn't have to lean on their star. Robbie Avila plays less than 20 minutes in this game. He takes 3 shots, all of them three-pointers. He only made one of them, but it was just an incredible game from Robbie Avila and company. And what's incredible is that I get to be joined by my good friend Bob Ramsey, who's going to sit down right next to me and talk this game over. He just got finished talking with the head coach, Josh Schertz, and he joins us now here on the Billikens Central postgame here on STL Sports Central. Let's get a bit of anger here. Rammer, one of the more impressive offensive games you've ever gotten a chance to call here in Chaifetz. 1.7 points per possession. It was almost an automatic basket every time they went down the floor.
It was really crazy. Our great stat crew said that this is the first time since the 94-95 season that the Billikens had scored 300-point games in 1 year. That was the Claggett, Highmark, Waldman group. Spoonball, historically, Spoonball, you think about winning 52-50.
Yeah.
But they were scoring 90 points a game. They could all shoot it. It was a lot of fun. So that's when you start to put a little historical perspective on it. But then you talk about being connected, and that was the message Coach Schertz gave us in the postgame show on radio about how connected the team is and how it takes time to kind of figure out. And you're a soccer guy too, and I used a line from our friend Bill McDermott, Mr. Soccer, and I asked Coach Schertz about how in soccer they say the most dangerous guy is the guy without the ball.
Yeah.
And you started to see that tonight with great ball movement, but everybody knows if they cut, they're going to get the basketball. And we saw that a great deal tonight.
Ironically enough, I think the only time, this is the only bad mark I have this entire game, is the only time where there wasn't a lot of great cutting was probably when they needed it the most, was the few times the Chippewas went to that zone defense. And again, that's the kind of the bugaboo from the Stanford game. But late in that Stanford game, if you go back and watch it, they started figuring out how the cutting would open up the offense. And then tonight, too much stagnant standing against that zone defense. Again, that was really the only bad part about any part of this game for the Billikens, is that the one time they didn't cut is probably when they should have been cutting more.
Well, what are you talking about? 3 possessions?
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 zone possessions when it comes down to it. Again, that's the only negative I could think of in this entire game.
Well, here's the other thing. Even if you want to be a naysayer and say Central Michigan's not very good, so what? With the amount of possessions you had, just the odds, just the percentage of having 8, 10, 12 turnovers is likely.
Yes.
This team only had 4,
Incredible.
And that had been a problem. So when you put all that together, it was really a remarkable effort.
In fact, Stanford was the one game where turnovers weren't an outsized problem. They only had 10 against Stanford. They had 4 tonight. Every other game this season has been in the teens. They've had games
upper teens.
18 against LMU. I mean, they turned it over 20 times, I think, against one of the first 5, easy marks. So I mean, it was a great game all over. The big thing though for me for this entire season, because obviously with Josh Schertz, with his firepower, we want to talk about the offense, but the defense. I mean, they were playing 40-minute games, and tonight I think was another one again.
Yeah.
About 32 points allowed each half. Just an incredible defensive performance again with some big blocks, some big steals.
What about some of the fun stuff?
Oh my God!
For those who don't know, you're on the south end or the visitors' end of the court. Kellen Thames put one in your face. It was one of the. That's got to be on ESPN tonight.
Oh my God! It was incredible.
With McCautry lobbing it up in front of the rim, and Kellen Thames had to go over a defender and dunk it, and it was amazing.
And I got the screenshot. I tweeted it out, and the angle might have messed me up, but I was right. Kellen Thames, both his feet are behind the free throw line when the ball leaves Amari's hand. Kellen takes another step to leave the ground.
Is that right?
He takes off inside the paint, but Amari has let go of the ball when Kellen is actually behind
outside the line.
It's actually really incredible. In fact, I'm just going to go here and scroll on my phone and show you the screenshot I took.
Well, I'm watching the ball.
It was absolutely incredible.
I'm watching the ball in McCautry, and it was a typical Amari. I'm going to make a little wiggle move and go reverse or whatever. And so I was as surprised as the defender. Now, Earl said after the fact,
there's Kellen behind the free throw line.
Earl said after the fact that Kellen pointed.
Yeah.
I didn't see that because I'm watching the ball. And Amari more than willing to give it up to him in the throwdown. But if you go back and listen to the radio, I mean, it was impossible to call. All we did was just kind of yell and fall on the ground.
Well, and one of the things is obviously it's an incredible play, but it actually gets back to some of the first things I noticed, which was right out of the gate, they converted their first 2 fast break opportunities.
Yes. And
if you go back, even against LMU when they had a big win, go back again in those 3 games away, they wasted way too many fast break opportunities without even getting a shot off against the defense in his heels. So they come out looking for blood. They finish those first 2 transition buckets, and then the fact that they're hitting those alley-oops and things in transition is just everything about this team. 13 fast break points in the first half, 12 fast break points in the second half. The fast break jump they took from California to here was noticeable and key to this game.
58 points in the paint.
God bless.
That's amazing. And that's how you have a high shooting percentage. The other guy I want to talk about, I want everybody to keep an eye on him. He got in for 7 minutes and 21 seconds, had 9 points, a rebound, and an assist. Jax Kerr.
Yes.
He's a marvelously talented young man, and he's going to do great things for this program.
And the thing I loved about that, too, was also the playmaking from the Billikens, because on all 3 of those dunks, it was a different player each time. I think it was Trey Green for the little dump off. it was Ashawn Sharma for the pocket pass, and then in the corner it was Brady Dunlap. So 3 different players are getting involved with him and helping him score in that 2-man game.
Yep.
I thought that was incredible. Another game I don't want to overlook. He struggles from 3-pointers. In fact, if you take out Ashawn Sharma and Brady Dunlap going 3 of 13 from deep, the rest of the Billikens went 8 for 16 from deep. But I do want to highlight Ashawn Sharma's floor game tonight. I think he had 6 rebounds and 5 assists for Ashawn Sharma. He's a guy who we knew he could shoot, but the big question was, with his length and with his floor game, could he contribute in other ways? And tonight he struggles from the deep, but he contributes in every other way possible.
Playing. Yeah, I mean, everybody in that kind of a game are going to have, good plus-minus numbers. He was plus 22. And the rebounds were a career high.
Yeah, 6 rebounds again, and I think it was I'm losing it here. 3 assists from Ashawn Sharma. That's a floor game we haven't necessarily seen from him. That was incredible. And speaking of games we haven't seen from people, Quentin Jones, 12 points in the opening half against LMU, and it was big. He was driving the rack. He was being a playmaker, but he still wasn't hitting the shot. Tonight, he also has 12 points in the first half, but it's as a shooter from deep. How great was it to see Q get involved?
Well, everybody was kind of rooting for him to kind of have it come along because he accepted sort of the facilitator, de facto point guard role very, very well. But it started to become time for him to show what he can do, and he did. And he may not be, and I'm only going to say may not be, knockdown three-point shooter, but he is more than competent, and we saw that tonight.
Yeah, it was just an incredible game from everybody overall. Quentin Jones leads the team with 19. You get 13 apiece from Amari and Dion. They both go 6 of 9 from the field. I tweeted it out at Jordan Nessler, the video guy, said at some point we're going to need to see like dueling layup and drive compilations from Brown and Amari, because at some point during every game they pull off a spin move, they split a double team, and it makes you go, wow, these guys are incredible.
In the first half, my favorite Deion Brown move, and he's one of my all-time favorite players 1 month into his career.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with him.
But he, again, on your end, first half, he's down on the block. He's driving to go. The defensive help comes. I think it might have been the 7-footer. Anyway, so, yeah. He's got 2 guys on him, and just without missing a beat, behind the back, across the baseline, was it Otieno?
It was Otieno, yeah.
Otieno for the finish.
It
was like that no look behind the back, and I mean, these are a remarkable group of players.
My thing about Deion Brown, have you ever seen it? Like, it's a high comment. I'm not comparing their games. I'm just saying, like, the reason why I've always loved a guy like Nikola Jokic, why he's so much fun to watch, is he doesn't allow his games to be put in a box of like, well, you have to score a basketball this way, you have to pass the basketball this way. Deion Brown is one of those players who he's just like, I'm playing a game, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make it work. And it might look goofy, it might look wrong, but it's going to work more often than not. He just does things.
Coach Sharks gave us a great tidbit on Deion Brown in the post-game interview. He talked about how Deion, really his whole career at 2 other stops, was a mid-range jump shooter. That was his game. And he had to give that up to be a part of what Coach Sharks does, did it willingly, and his all-around game has improved remarkably.
And it was down on your end where the broadcast was closer. The possession where he gets the 1v1 post possession against the 7-footer, puts him in the spin cycle, puts up the hook shot, then wins the offensive rebound battle, and then after a little bit of a recycle of the play, he's scoring the basket on a dump-off from Robbie Avila. I mean, he had an earlier Kevin McHale-like up-and-under move against a smaller post player at 6'3". Yeah, he's doing it all at 6'3". One of them was against a 6'5" guy where he actually scores. The miss and then the offensive rebound was against a 7-footer. This guy's crazy. I love it.
Well, he's maybe the lead example, but one of the things I love, especially when Otieno's out there, the Bills switch at all 5 positions. What I love watching this 1 month in is when a big realizes he's got a small on him. And by that, it can be a 6'6" player. It's McCautry, it's Dion, it's whomever. And they think, okay, I'm going to go to work. And they can't get anything done.
Yes.
And that's the ability to switch all 5 spots and not give up anything.
And it's the same thing, too, with one thing I thought was putting this team ahead of people was the ability to put Amari at the 4. Because, like you said, people think, oh, he's smaller than me.
I'm going to take him.
He's stronger than you. He's more athletic than you. He's faster than you. They're getting a little bit there with Dion where they're putting him in as the 4. Yeah. And guys are going, this guy's not going to beat me to that rebound. And so they kind of slack off, and then he beats them to every rebound. And so he's kind of lulling people in and then beating them that way. And that's been a lot of fun to watch.
it's a lot of fun. And again, you know, we all understand that Central Michigan is starting to rebuild a program,
Yes.
an entire new roster and a new coach, but a coach who's had success in the past. And so we're not trying to say that, you know, you beat the Celtics, you know, in this game tonight, but the way you play is more important than the final score. And that's what Coach Shirt's like, the way the Billikens play.
And something that jumped out to me early, we were talking about how great the defense has been. One thing when the defense has had problems is when teams kind of figure out the Robbie of it all. And you know, if it's two bigs, it's like, okay, we have a big that can shoot. Now we've got Robbie in a bad spot. But if a team doesn't have a big who can shoot, I don't see a lot of teams being able to put this defense in a bad position. Teams are going to pressure this team. This defense is going to have bad nights. But like matchup-wise, putting the Billikens in a bad spot defensively, unless you have a big who can shoot, I don't see how teams are going to do it very often.
Right.
And that's something to look forward to, obviously, as we play better teams. But right now, this defense is leading this team.
But, and I don't want to make a prediction, but when the Bills do run into a big who can shoot, Robbie's been guarding Jax Kerr since June.
Yeah.
And Kerr is a 7-footer who can shoot.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Robbie will be a lockdown guy. I don't know what will happen, but I know it won't be a surprise.
Won't be a surprise at all. That's Bob Ramsey. He's the voice of the Billikens. You can always hear him on 104.1 KMOX. You can hear him coming up next Saturday as the Billikens take on the San Francisco Dons. 7 p.m. tip-off. That means you're starting pregame at
6:45.
6:45 for the pregame on 104.1 KMOX. Also, of course, 11:20 a.m. Big game against the Dons. Just a couple of thoughts as we're less than a week out.
Well, they're a team that thinks they can compete in the West Coast Conference, maybe realistically just behind Gonzaga and St. Mary's, but they think they can play with them. And they're a very good team. They're well coached. They ran the Billikens out of the building last year in San Francisco, but they're facing a different team this year. And so I'm suggesting that the Bills are going for the West Coast Conference Championship next Saturday, because that'll be the third WCC team that we played in 5 weeks.
Another West Coast battle for the Billikens here in Chaifetz Arena. And you can hear Bob Ramsey on the call on 104.1 KMOX against San Francisco next Saturday, 7 p.m. tip-off, 6:45 pregame on 104.1. Rammer, thank you so much for joining us as always.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
I'm going to finish up here. You want to grab that for me? Thank you, sir. I'm not going to involve you in all the legalese here. We got to tell everybody about our good friends over at DraftKings. Hope you guys all had a fun first 6 days of everything being legal here in the state of Missouri. They've been putting out the promos. They've been putting out the bonus bets, and it's been an absolute blast. Your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state, Missourians. And now you can make every game more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more, including those bonuses. And from your phone, it's all safe, it's all secure, and it's all easy to use. Missouri fans know game day, the tailgates, the noise, the passion. Billikens fans, you do as well. And now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring the same energy to every snap, every touchdown, every win. Hey, maybe you win on the second half over like a certain person on the baseline right now. And right now, Missouri customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Again, bet just $5 when you sign up and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. You're going to ask yourself, wait, $5, 300 bonus bets? $300 in bonus bets? How do I get that, Rocchio? It's simple. You just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code STL Sports. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. One single use odds boost per customer. Market boosted to plus 100 odds. Max bet $50. Expires at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, December 7th. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Big thanks to Bob Ramsey, and I feel like a fool because I had him right here, and I did not get a chance to congratulate him, and that's going to get me yelled at by our executive producer, Joe Roddick, who told me, congratulate Bob Ramsey for winning the Burns Bragg Award at the Jack Buck Awards. That is an incredible award. Bob Ramsey is an incredible person, one of the greatest people I've ever gotten the chance to work here in St. Louis, the privilege, I should say, to work here in St. Louis. So congratulations to Bob Ramsey, winner of the Burns Bragg Award at the Jack Buck Awards. I got to run here and finish off and go shake his hand because that's incredible. So proud of my good friend, Bob Ramsey. Another Billikens win here at Chaifetz Arena. They keep burning down the building with high-scoring games. 107-65, the Billikens go off against Central Central Michigan. Quentin Jones leads them. Everybody gets involved. Kellen Thames almost takes the entire top off the building, and the Billikens continue to roll. We'll be back here on the Billikens Central postgame following the game next Saturday again. San Francisco Dons, another big West Coast battle here in the Midwest for the Billikens. San Francisco and the Billikens next Saturday, 7 p.m. You can catch the postgame right here on the Billikens Central feed. Like, share, subscribe here on STL Sports Central. Make sure you always join us here on our postgame shows. Hope everyone had a wonderful, fun, productive day of watching some basketball. I'm out of here. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the Billikens on a win. Congratulations to our good friend Bob Ramsey. And go Billikens women here as they tip off against Evansville in 21 minutes. Have a great day, St. Louis.